And we're live. I tried to catch it right on the beat of the song, and I don't know if I did it.
Did he do it, chat? Did he do it? How successful was he?
I don't think I was.
Very, very successful.
Well,
This is
That's
going
what
to
I was
determine the
supposed to
vibes
be
of the
next.
entire stream, chat. You have to tell us if you did it good or not.
Yeah, he is a doctor after all.
Yeah.
there's a lot of pressure, and I don't know if I abide it. Welcome, everybody. This is the 10th, I think 10th Save Point Society meeting. I don't know if we're gonna keep saying numbers the
Double
whole time
digits?
because it's getting there. But maybe we should. Do you guys think we should do numbers every time?
Yeah, we remember.
We can always just do dates, too. I think that, yeah, eventually it's going to become cumbersome.
Yeah.
We can always just say what date it is.
See, we like to plan the show as we go. You know, sometimes this is a work in progress. It's an evolving process. So we're
5 demands numbers, but 5 is a number, so his opinion
Five
is
is-
not to be trusted.
Five's the
is
best number.
all about those numbers.
Oh.
Yeah,
What
I
a-
mean, this is
yeah, it's
you
a
know,
good number.
the show is but clay being modeled, and we're still developing as we go. So, but yeah, so I basically want to welcome everybody here. We're gonna kick off with most of the same kind of format, but a little tweak to it tonight. We're gonna focus more on one topic, albeit a big topic. Cat's gonna claw the hell out of my chair behind me. That's excellent for the fabric,
Okay.
I should say.
I'm
Nibs or
playing a
hops?
cat, so it matches.
And welcome, Draneth. Good to see you there.
Oh, hey, buddy.
So yeah, we're going to be focusing kind of on one topic. It's a big topic, though, and I think hopefully it showed up in the title. So we are talking about the actual definition of bullshit. So there's a sort of a construct, a philosophical term or scientific definition of that word, and we're going to
A
use that. We're going to
scientific
kind of
definition.
talk about pseudoscience as well, because those things are hand in hand.
And this channel is not bullshit, just FYI.
No,
It's the exact
no.
opposite.
You'll
having-
actually you'll see why. You'll see why.
Mhm.
I'm having a hard time making this relevant to our current culture. Max, are you sure this is a topical topic, for lack of a better word?
I think we're gonna have to stretch a bit, but I think we hopefully by
I'm
the
all
end
limbered
of
up.
this stream we will hopefully define why that topic does not apply to us, at least if we're trying to do our job well. And that's kind of the interesting thing. So, part of what we've done before, we've sort of read from articles. We've been doing some of those things. I'm going to do a little bit less of that. It's going to be a little bit more questions for the boys. They don't actually know what they are, so it will be a little bit surprising to them, and we'll kind of see how this goes. And yeah, we're not going to talk about we're not going to trash talk cryptozoology.
I am.
We
You
are
guys
going
might not.
to
Yeah.
explain why you should all trash talk things like that. But we will get there. We'll definitely hit on some of those topics.
Speaking of cryptids, our fourth member is not here today. He is once
He
again
is-
banished to the cartoon realm. And in
Yeah.
fact, he was banished so hard that his cartoon face didn't even make it here. So
No. No.
sometimes
Yeah,
I can
what
still
is-
hear his voice when I try to go to sleep at night. But
Is he out
Yeah.
hunting the Mothman? Is that what he was
I
doing?
don't know.
Speaking
Shout
of
out
which,
Corbin.
yeah,
He's still alive. I don't know.
Pour one out for Corbin.
So I hope somewhere in the world where he is, Corbin got this like weird premonition of like, wait, did somebody
I
gesture
feel an
to me?
idiot forced.
Can we play that Fast and the Furious song over a montage of pictures of Corbin?
He'll be back next week. It's like, hey guys, I'm not dead. I'm here. What the hell?
Amazing start. Yeah, so no, Corbin's fine. He took a vacation, not from us.
He's
he
not
took
fine.
just a vacation from
He would never do
life
that.
and those sort of things. And knowing him, it's probably fishing somewhere. So he's out there. He's hooking things and,
Without cell
and
service.
casting lures. I don't know what kind of fishing he does. He used to do fly fishing, but
Yeah,
think
big
he's
fly
moved.
fisher Corbin.
moved into a variety of fishing modalities.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, while we're welcoming everybody, we also want to obviously invite you to follow. If you're checking us out over on YouTube, subscribe, do all those things. We're just looking for more people to hang out and participate. That's the other thing. Feel free to jump in the chat, all those sort of things, and be part of the conversation. We're happy. It's okay even if you disagree with us, as long as we're civil.
Yeah.
We'll get through it and all those sort of things. So back in chat here, Cake-Up asserts that the Loch Ness Monster is real. Sure.
And then
sure.
R.I.P. Corbin. We appreciate the respect, Jacob. Thank you.
Is Scientology pseudoscience or organized religion? Table that question for later. We can definitely. I think we'll hit on enough to talk about it. I have my opinion, but I'll save it for now. Judas says LMFAO, and we've got Draneth also coming back on a pyramid scheme for that matter. I mean, it can be two things. Scientology
things,
especially is certainly one of a pyramid scheme. Cake-Up, great segue. I appreciate that. What is this game? Sean, what are you playing here? I've never seen this.
So this is a game called ninesols. Basically, you're a futuristic Ronin samurai cat.
Sure.
I don't know the exact frame it's in. It's kind of futuristic, but not.
The clothing doesn't look futuristic.
No, but once you get to some of the levels, I've played it for an hour or two, so I'm not that deep into it. But I figured I'd start a new game for all you guys, and you can watch me get mad and lose my crap here in a second. But it is a Souls-like Metroidvania, which like Castlevania, actually some of the latter Castlevanias, where it is a giant map where you get to explore, but it's also hard as shit because it's a Souls-like. So and apparently, it takes a lot of cues from Sekiro, in which it has a lot of parrying, a lot of well timing. So it's gonna be an adventure, and you guys get to see me lose my shit. So it'll be fun. If that's not entertaining, what is?
He does want to know, why do we like getting mad at our video games? We seem to pick games we get mad at.
Judas, I've seen you play video games. Don't act like you're above it, my friend.
That's a good question. Why do we do this?
I think in my case,
you and I got into a fist fight over Mario Party, Judas. We have no.
That was last week.
Yeah.
That was.
I think for me, so a lot of the games I keep playing, like Castlevania, I'm working my way through Ninja Gaiden and all that stuff right now as well. Part of it is I didn't beat those games as a kid, and they made me super mad, and so they definitely still make me really mad. I'm just a little bit more patient. I want to learn them. So I'm just, I don't know, kind of challenging myself a little bit. And sometimes it feels good to just be mad. I don't know why.
It's kind of just the challenge of it, It's kind of like you are putting time and effort into something, and you want to make it worth it. It's like if something's difficult, beating it or completing a small goal in it, it feels very satisfying to you. You're like, I accomplished something, even though it's a video game.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Unlike Max, I'm not fighting any childhood demons here. I play hard video games to make myself feel better than you. That goes for everybody in chat. That's the only reason that I do it.
That's how Brandon knows he's better than you.
Correct.
He knows it.
I'm here to fight chat today. That's my, that's my
man.
goal. I encountered a man I didn't care for at the gym, and I'm taking it out on you, chat.
I think that's healthy. I do think that's healthy, though.
Of course it is. To fight chat? Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fighting is healthy.
So Sean, what you just started this game, you're a cat samurai. What else do we need to know about this?
Apparently in the opening cutscene I died and I ate a fish, and now I'm trying to get a flower for that little kid that was there earlier, and I have to beat this board to do that. See, he's got the flower in his mouth. And this is kind of like the tutorial where it kind of teaches the game to you.
Okay.
So basically...
Is that a health bar or like a stun bar above his head?
Health bar.
Okay.
So enemies are very durable until you get this ability to where you kind of put your scroll on them and it detonates and they explode and it does more damage, but you have to do it off a parry. That's the only time you can do it. So that's part of one of the main gameplay mechanics.
Gotcha.
I'm not gonna lie, this game is pretty difficult to where I got stuck, but I figured, start over, get some more training in, get some more reps in. I am a martial artist after all, so that's how we live.
You're older, wiser, and stronger now, Sean.
By the way, I thought it was probably a good idea to tweak the old... I remembered how to set up chatbots, and so we had one chatbot that I accidentally set to every 5 minutes hassle our viewers. So just want you to turn that down. I was like, why do you keep doing that?
So
every
now
5
I gotta get the
minutes,
flower.
Spamming.
the futuristic element to this, Max, is I've seen a little bit of this game. It's got like, I don't know, like Star Warsy stuff where like everybody dresses in like robes, but there's like definitely like a high tech,
That's a good analogy for it. It is kind of like not like Star Wars-esque, but like it kind of feels like it's on a different planet, but they have like higher tech.
Okay.
It's that far future thing where it's like the weird mix of like high tech stuff, but also with like reversion to like more like, I don't want to say primitive, that's not the word I'm looking for, but like ancient style living plus like this.
Yep.
Like
I feel like ancient style living is primitive though, almost by definition.
Yeah, I can't think of a better word for it, but like.
And also, can we also touch on how you're a badass cat and how often do you get to play that in a game?
Yeah, no, it's nothing to hate there. Got a sweet hat too.
Exactly.
Did anybody play Stray?
Or a cat? No, but I've been meaning to play it. I've heard it's pretty awesome. I'm pretty sure K-Cup has.
Drayneth adds that the game was developed by Taiwanese developer Red Candle Games and it's based around Taoism. Okay. All right. Not bad. I like the art. The art is.
Thank you, Drayneth. Yeah, it's very cool. Like the cells shaded, and what's more impressive is like the art and the graphics and how like, how do I say this, like accurate it is to where you have to be like on point with your attacks and parries to the point where it's like there's like no room for error.
Oh, it's a hand-drawn style, but it's like pixel perfect timing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really good hitbox detection. Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay, Leah played Stray. Is that the one where you play as a cat? You just a
Yes.
cat? Okay. I've seen that VR game as like you play VR as a cat, and I've seen some hilarious videos of people being a cat and just like yelling at this old woman who's like in the game and you're apparently her cat.
I don't know who the guy is, but he's a Scottish guy that streams himself doing that, and it is the best thing I've ever seen. And I don't remember. It was like Gibby or Gabby. I don't remember, but like the dude is hilarious.
Yeah, I've seen him. I've seen the Spanish dude. The Spanish dude cracks me up because there are subtitles, but he's speaking in Spanish, and I feel like I do understand a lot of what's being said, just based on context. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Alright, so you're going to a shaman, you're at the festival, you're at the market.
Oh yeah, this part's actually pretty cool. So let me get through this part and then we can start diving into more other subject matter.
Sure.
Look at this guy. What the hell are you looking at? Beat it, kid.
Is Bobby GG the guy you're looking for here, Sean? That's what I'm finding when I'm looking up Scottish man cat VR game.
Yeah, I think that's him.
BOABY_GG.
Yeah.
You don't look much wiser yourself. Oh, so you get to like pick what you want to say?
Shout out to the Scottish. I want to go to Scotland really bad.
Well, that's an attractive character right there. What a handsome fellow.
Never mind, you get it.
He's kind of a grumpy guy at a festival, so I feel a kinship with him.
Is he growing horns?
A brawny man from Peach Blossom Village. He's a conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
Never
mind.
All right, excellent. So Alex Jones is here. That's good to know.
In the meantime, Drayneth says Red Candle Games is known for some horror games, detention, and also devotion. Devotion moved from digital storefronts after threats from the Chinese Communist Party for the game containing Winnie the Pooh picture and reference to Xi Jinping. Interesting.
Okay.
Remember the John Oliver bit about yeah.
All the leaders of the countries now are very sensitive. It turns out
they really are. And about being compared to Winnie the Pooh. Come on, man.
Oh,
Who
bother.
doesn't love Winnie the Pooh?
I'm saying
He's awesome. I grew up like I had a Winnie the Pooh stuffed animal. I think we all did, and it's
actually requisite if you grew up in the '80s. You had to have one.
We had a Teddy Ruxpin as well.
Those are terrifying.
That Nightmare Machine.
That reminds me, I can't remember. There was a Winnie the Pooh story when I was a kid. It was like a movie or like an hour-long show, and it was actually horrific. There was like, I can't remember it now, but it was like a special or something. It was like a no, this was like in the 80s, like or 90s.
I was like, I know they made that horror.
Yeah, this is different. This was like official, and it was actually like kind of scary as a kid. Like how like Fantasia was a little bit scary, you know.
You had started that sentence with "it was a haul," and then you stopped, which I assume is holiday. But there's another word that starts with "hall" that is very scary.
No, you're right.
Did Winnie the Pooh do a? I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad to find that it was holiday was the word you were going with.
Yeah.
There.
I'll find it. I can't remember what it was, but it was like legit. Like it was cool as a kid, but it was also like it had that cool like cool but scary vibe as a kid.
I understand
like
what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
you had the
Winnie
blanket
the Pooh
overhead.
got
You look
too real?
through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was like a thunderstorm and monsters. I remember that part.
Common elements of Pooh Bear.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah.
Exactly.
Watch out for the werewolves.
So you're having a tea ceremony right now.
Yes, but there's
Or
this
you're-
other.
I mean
like,
dinner, I should say.
It's an action game, Max. Thank you.
Yes. And it is like, so what we're going to now is the actual, it's basically a sacrificial ceremony, and that's what's going to happen to
Sounds
your
like
buddy
fun.
here.
Buddy is blissfully unaware of what's about to happen to him.
Are you
He
gonna
thinks he's gonna like
sacrifice it?
commune with the gods or something, right?
Probably.
Cake up Pooh
Yeah,
Bears
it's kinda one of
all
those
the
things.
time.
I
I can
don't-
see that, buddy.
Does that mean just t-shirt, no pants? Is that what that means? Jacob?
It has to be.
Yep, that's the. I think
That's the Pooh Bear
Donald
look.
Donald ducking it is also a similar look, I believe. You might have to wear a sailor cap to Donald Duck it, though. I'm not sure.
See, you have like a weird cell phone.
Oh,
like,
okay. There's the tech. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Commander. Oh, I forgot the guy from Campbell.
Yeah.
Who's the guy from Metal Gear Solid calling you?
Oh,
That's
Colonel
definitely
Campbell.
what-
Yeah, you're right.
Colonel Campbell. Yeah, this is what these be vibes of. Big
It's like
time right
Otacon.
now. Yeah.
Snake.
God, I remember when that original, when the original, well, not the original, but the Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation came out and how
Oh.
mind-blowing
yeah.
it was.
Oh yeah.
I know there
That
was
was
one
the
before
one.
that.
The one time I
Metal
remember
Gear.
going to a Toys R Us and they had the demo of it playing, and that was the only time I remember like a crowd of people watching someone play a video game in a store,
Yeah.
and I was just like,
Oh, yeah.
oh my god, what is
It's
this?
a big deal.
Uh huh.
David Hayter, is that the original?
Yep.
Am I getting that name wrong, or is that him?
You nailed it.
What an iconic voice. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
firecrackers.
firecracker.
I like the ambiance of this too.
Yeah, very cool, very unique. Like I love the art of this.
Oh,
So far,
beautiful.
Sean's not cussing either. It's pretty easy.
Give him
I know,
time.
fucker. Yeah. Wait till I die a bunch. You'll see
Yeah.
it or hear it.
All he's done is murder a pig so far. Like, give him time. He's got
So
some
we're
challenges
gonna
ahead.
get to a spot where this game's gonna get so intense that Sean can't possibly participate in discussion.
Probably because I'll be so focused because you have to like time your parries. All right. Time.
Looks ominous.
So you had to get the flower for the sacrifice ritual, basically.
Sure.
Mhm.
Okay. They're
That's
all
what
wearing
he
the
was worried
flowers.
So we have a big monolith coming up. That's probably
Opening
a
a
good sign.
Stargate.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And the line of people in sacrificial robes, that's always good. It's what you
Yes.
want to see at your summertime festivals.
Hmm.
The shaman of Peach Blossom Village hereby
I
receives
think
your
the comic
decree.
book text is a good touch. It's a good touch.
It
Yeah,
is.
it's very cool.
They humbly
Also
repay
music.
their respect to the flying throne.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen to this guy?
This is gonna... Oh, things are going well.
He's got a helmet.
He does. And look, they're picking him up so everybody can see.
Hmm.
And, there you go.
Oops.
Hell.
Everybody celebrate.
Next person up.
So, do the people walking in to be juiced?
Uh-huh.
Are they aware this is what's happening?
I mean, I think the people can see, but I'm not sure, actually.
I mean, because
Yeah.
you think the second guy in line would be like, "Hey, wait, what?"
No, this is like an honor. It's like, you know, Aztec sacrificial ceremonies. It's like, this is like an honor to be chosen
Yeah, they're-
to be a sacrifice.
They're going to the flying throne. Max,
Mhm.
you see?
Fair.
It's an important
And
place
this is
to
your
be.
buddy?
Yeah,
Head first.
it probably was your buddy.
Well,
Uh-oh.
ケイリンとゼン
thank you for taking care of me these past 2 years, Yi. Time for me to go.
Yeah, because this ritual happens every 2 years.
Bro, this is.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Judas is driving. Metal Gear Solid brings back memories.
Yes.
I don't know,
Oh,
Judas.
good
You a
memories.
Metal Gear Solid fan? I'm not sure about that. Name
Oops.
every snake, Judas. Yi will not
So if
let
you-
his little buddy go down. That's why he's a hero.
Well, that's pretty sweet.
Mhm.
Oh no, you anchored the gods.
Mm-hmm.
Spare us from your wrath.
Why do the gods need child heads? That's such a weird thing.
Well, there was different sized people.
What should I choose? The
But
is a
there's at
lie.
least one
I'm just
child
gonna-
in line, so it needs child heads. I mean, just saying.
Sure. There was a
Which-
Papa
which
Bear,
one-
a Mama Bear, and a Baby Bear that were going down
I'd say
in that
A. I
sacrifice.
go ye, you know, is a lie.
Okay.
Oh, you're such an edge
Aw.
lord. You're so cool.
Oh, you're gonna hack the planet? Let's go.
You're gonna- Guy, why'd you have to say it? This stream is
Oh,
not
love
safe from hackers. Sorry, everyone. We are
It's another
zero
sneaky
streams.
reason why I
About,
chose this game so we
We
can
are
do more hacker references.
we are zero
Excellent.
streams now
Excellent.
since referencing hackers. Got to reset the board. All right, so now the real game has begun. Now he must parry.
Oh, friend called 5. Oh, I get nude at special times. It's good.
That's from Kickin'.
What you do.
Yeah.
All right, now should we start broaching our topic for the night?
Yeah. Well,
think?
hold on. Will this situation, friend, be when we come and visit in September? Because that would be spectacular.
Would be.
Oh, should I smoke my medicine pipe? What do you guys think?
I think
Yeah,
you need
you're
to heal.
half health.
I think it's a good time.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that smoking heals you in real life. Say it does the opposite, but you know, in this
This
game, we're
game.
gonna allow it. We're gonna allow it.
Oh, who's that one doctor who was talking? I'm sure you saw it. It was a YouTube thing for a while. He was on. Oh man, he said it during an interview with Dr. Mike, not my patron saint Mike Isbell, the real,
the actual
sorry,
medical. I know who you're talking about.
the medical Dr. Mike, yes. Oh, I can't think of his name now, but he's an older guy, white hair, like he wears hipster glasses. But he was talking. This will lead actually a pretty good lead into your topic, where he was talking about. I think it was sugar. And it was a reference to like sugar being as harmful for you as smoking or something to that effect. It was just the most ridiculous. It might have been grapes actually that he was referring to.
Grapes?
Yeah, because he was talking about grapes or sugar bombs or some just ridiculously like free of
Sure, I mean,
context.
Sugar
guys
in
see
a
what I did?
sense, like refined sugar and lots of sugar is bad for you. I don't know how you weigh that against cigarettes.
Yeah, but it's also fructose. It's not refined
right.
sugar.
No,
It's-
exactly. There's
yeah.
something different. There's
And
difference.
there's fiber in a grape. Like it's
right.
not...
Right. Correct.
So just now, boys, I clicked that panel and it dropped a torso down. I hacked the torso and I got the bloody flower back because it was one of the
Good.
sacrifices spot torsos that came through.
It seems
the
like
ape
a.
men are harvesting. Your enemies are
Mhm.
monkeys.
Eh,
That,
How many men do you think you're gonna need to take down one?
yeah, 30, 40, I'm guessing. Definitely not 100.
30 or 40 or just one cat?
Yeah, one cat. One ninja samurai cat.
same as,
Yeah.
definitely platforms more crisply than Castlevania 1.
Are you having to hold the up or down button to go downstairs, Sean?
No, I just go downstairs. It's
Oh,
oh
I
god, look at
see.
the background.
It is pretty cool.
That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the vibe here. It's creepy. It's ominous. It's
Is
futuristic.
it Soylent Green is
It's a
made
nice,
of people? Is that
it's
the
a nice
line?
fusion of those themes. All right. Well, Sean, if you don't mind, I will. I'll at least introduce. We're gonna bounce back and forth. So we're not just gonna do topic the whole time. It's gonna be the same topic most of the stream, but we're just gonna kind of go back and forth with it. So, I was remembering an article that I read a long time ago in the
I died.
magazine's Skeptical Inquirer. It's one death. Keep a
Keep tally.
tally. So I was remembering this article I read because it was interesting. I think it was last year that it came out, and it was about basically the concept, either philosophically or scientific. I don't know what it would be, but the definition of bullshit in not the biologic actually what comes out of a bull sense, but the what does it mean when we're talking about it colloquially and like assigning. When people are bullshitters, what does that mean? And so the article was fascinating, and I think like when we post these to YouTube, we'll have sources in those things. It may take us a day or two to update them, but you can actually read this article for free. It was written by Massimo Pigliucci. I think Italian. I think that's an Italian name.
What makes you think that's an Italian name?
Yeah.
I'm here on stream with a couple of Italian-American gentlemen. We'll vet that. But basically, what he wrote, the article was entitled "It's All Bullshit: The Common Ground Between Pseudoscience and Pseudophilosophy," and it was just sort of, it was kind of neat because there was way more to the term bullshit.
Yeah,
And I will interchangeably use BS, not because I care, but just so we don't have to like get flagged on YouTube for using profanity too often. But yeah, so what is BS? What is that term actually mean? And here's kind of a general, here's like the easiest way to go about it. And so this draws from a guy named Harry Frankfurt who wrote like kind of the definition of what BS is. And I'll start by kind of contrasting it with lying. So like, what is lying? Lying is knowing what the truth is and then deceiving and saying something opposite, right? So in order to lie or be a liar, you have to know truth and care about truth, okay? So I mean, it's good to be honest, just live in truth and enjoy truth. But if you're going to lie, you're basically saying, I know there's a truth, but I'm going to deceive and say something that's counter to that, okay? Contrast, a bullshitter doesn't care or regard truth or falsehood. They just say things because it's all just words. So somebody who deals in BS will say things that they could be true, they could be false, they could relate to actual facts, or they might not. And the thing about a BSer is they don't care. They just don't care. They just put out as much BS as possible and have no regard for whether it's true or related to the truth. And it seems like a small point, but it's actually kind of the scariest part about it. Because at least somebody who's lying has a relationship with the truth, whereas a bullshitter doesn't have to have that relationship. And starting right there, does that make sense to you guys? Like that difference, that distinction?
Yeah, absolutely.
And any names come to mind when you think of?
Oh, geez.
Who
only
could come to mind?
Only the most powerful man in the world.
Sure. I mean, you can name a ton of them, and I'm sure chat would be like, Alex Jones for one is like a consummate bullshit.
Right.
Somebody who is able to spout as many things as possible confidently without having to worry if they're true. And part of the frightening thing about that owes to something called Brandolini's Law. Have you guys ever heard of this?
I already like it.
What is Brandolini's?
Right, not coined by our very own Bandon, but
I would like to request a title change for my name card up there, please.
That's fair. You want to be Bandolini?
I would only be Bandolini from now on.
All right, well, we'll do it next time. So basically, the Brandolini's Law, it suggests that the amount of energy needed to refute BS is an order of magnitude bigger than that which is needed to produce it. So, if you think about it in modern parlance, you tweet something out that's complete BS, it goes around the world in a nanosecond, and plenty of people can buy into it, they can believe it, and it takes so much more energy to point out why it's wrong, try to get into those channels, etc., that the Brandolini's Law suggests that if you spout BS, it will be more viral than the ability to counter it with facts.
Yeah,
And,
the colloquial version of that you hear in modern times is that a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth puts its pants on.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, is that you can see it with the kind of the flat. If you ever watch any kind of like flat Earth debate, if they're debating someone who they have to go through. They're just making some claim about the horizon line or something like that. And you have someone who has a scientific background having to explain all the reasons why. Sorry, I got distracted by Jacob's comment.
Right.
It was extremely vicious and critical, and I don't condone that kind of language in our chat, Jacob. You behave yourself.
What does it say? I can't read it. I'm busy.
He called me a butthead, Sean. I know. I don't.
he
Usually, I'm
did.
not. We're probably about to get demonetized now on Twitch. Oh no, all the money we're not making. But so the point being that the scientific person has to go through all of these, basically giving a lesson on why this is wrong, and the bullshitter will almost never acknowledge that they've been proven wrong, or they will just move to the next argument.
Right. They can
just
move
float to the
topic
next
to
thing.
topic. They can flood the market, so to speak.
Yeah,
And
Gish Gallop is the other term that you hear.
that's
in,
another way of doing it. And yeah,
debate circles.
I was going to bring that up. Go for it. What is it?
Oh, sorry. Okay. It's named after Dwayne Gish. He was, I can't remember, was he a creationist? I can't remember what Dwayne Gish was.
I think he is. Yes, he is.
But basically the idea is, in a Gish Gallop, is that it's kind of a shotgun approach, that you throw out so many arguments that your opponent has no time to refute all of them.
Right.
So your opponent has to pick a few to target, and the ones that your opponent doesn't have time or isn't able to refute because you've thrown so many out there, those look like victories to the audience, because you've said a thing that was never challenged by your opponent. So it's a debating style. It's a debating hack
you
style.
overwhelm
Right.
You overwhelm with BS. You don't. It doesn't. Because here's the other thing about BS. You can proclaim, and honestly, you can feel in your heart of hearts that you do care about the truth. But at the end of the day, if you are not being intellectually honest, it doesn't matter. So I imagine somebody like Gish, to give a benefit of doubt, if he really believes in this thing, creationism or whatever the topic is, he does believe it's true, and he's using this tactic, it's not a lie. He's not trying to deceive, most likely. But the problem is, since he's not using any intellectual integrity to reach his conclusion, he's still dangerous. He's extremely dangerous. You know what I mean? And that's
more so.
That's the thing. More so than, and that's the argument in a lot of this article, is that more so is it dangerous. And I think that's what. Oh no!
Hey,
oh my goodness!
Retro J, my dog.
Retro J, and everybody, welcome. Hola. Oh, we're getting raided, boys.
Oh, and getting Ragged X in here. What up, y'all?
Hello, everybody.
Howdy.
We're doing some hyper violent cat samurai games in chat.
We sure are.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome in, Jay. How'd your stream go? I watched a bunch of it, but you were winding down. I was about to wind up. Did you beat Suikonen yet, or no?
Ooh. Jacob, don't put on a nice face now just because there's more people in here.
Absolutely.
They'll understand who you are soon enough.
So you're.
Yes, thank you, Judas.
Welcome, everybody, from Retro J. You're walking in. We were just in the midst of kind of chatting about the concept of bullshit, like what bullshit is, and just the ability to produce say enough things without caring if they're true or not, and kind of how that affects things. That's our general topic for tonight. So we're going between that and playing the game, all that sort of thing. Jay says, stream was awesome. I started some Suikonen after my 360 emulator became too unstable. Yeah, you were playing, was it Fable 2? Is that what you were playing earlier when I was watching?
Oh, wow.
It's,
I haven't played Fable 2 since, I think, launch, man. I definitely ran a, full evil character. Who also, yeah, I just made him as fat and evil as possible. I loved that character.
And Jay, I watched him massacre a whole village. I would say you're probably running an evil character, from what I saw.
Debatable. Did the village deserve it?
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was a thing. You had to bring them down to the cult thing where you'd sacrifice them.
No. Okay.
I kind of remember that.
I was watching it. I turned away to go grab something in the kitchen or whatever. Came back, and all of a sudden, there was this thing on the screen. It said the Child Protective Services in Fable 2 were taking his child because his wife died. And I was like, Jay, what'd you do? He's like, I hit the follow button. She followed me down here, and this dude sacrificed her. And I was like, man, this game is messy. It's messy.
It was a different time, man.
Yes.
Don't hold them to our standards.
Yeah, but like I said, for all the new raiders, you're all welcome to hang out, of course. But yeah, on this channel, we bounce between talking about a real, some real topics. We have a little bit of discussion back and forth, along with a lot of nonsense discussion, and then one of us will play a game in the background. And so, Brandon, would you
Well,
do the honors?
Retro J says that his nephew collected 17 STDs in Fable 3.
It's a
Were
lot.
they
It's a lot.
17 unique?
That's impressive.
STDs?
Yeah, like you got some new ones.
Can you
have
have?
for you?
I mean, kudos for him for being a completionist.
I'm a
there-
physician,
is there an
and I don't
achievement
know
for it?
if I could name 17 off the top of my head. I probably could. Should I try? I feel like I should try.
Ooh,
Yeah.
gotta run now.
I
Need to
mean-
upgrade that run.
And there's, let's go. Let's see.
Yeah, see us either, Jay.
You know, I think I bet you I could probably name some. Oh, maybe. Okay, you got your. This is gonna be great, by the way, for the chat file that gets attached to this video. So you got your.
Excellent.
All right, Brandon, you got to keep counting. So syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, Haemophilus ducreyi, chancroid.
A who?
We're at 5.
I'm out of
right?
fingies.
Okay,
I'm
we're
out
at
of fingies.
5. I said syphilis, and that's easy. Yeah, I know. We're at 5.
Only 12 to go.
Man. There's obviously there's things like HIV, technically HPV as well.
Technically.
Well, very much.
Okay,
so.
well, you're stretching it to 7 now.
So I'm at 7.
Technically.
By the way, I already said. Did I say? Oh, what's the one?
Oh, that's a boss, probably.
There's the one down in.
We can watch that Dave Chappelle show clip with where he brings on the puppets that represent all the STDs. That could maybe help us out.
That
Uh-oh.
possibly could.
Does anybody remember
Like, I
those?
want to break into sub-stages because you can have just like localized syphilis and you can have tertiary, like in the brain syphilis, but I feel like that's cheating. So I'm faltering out at 7 off the top of my head.
Jay's thinking hard, but yeah. Anyways, the point is your nephew is a scholar, and he has discovered, he's went out and he discovered brand new diseases, and is he published by any chance, or is he looking, if he wants to break his story, we're happy to host it.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I am, you know what's going to happen too? All night, I'm going to sit here and new ones are going to pop into my head. I'll be
Oh, God.
Matt's gonna
sleeping
text us
in the
at
middle
3
of
in the
night,
morning.
and I'll have to text you guys. Oh, we got to allow that message.
We got to allow that,
We're
yeah.
going to allow it.
For
Scholar
scholarship.
of sluttiness. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
hey,
All right.
there's got to be more than one person out there in the world getting a PhD in that topic. So
In promiscuity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, PhD.
There's that whole show on Vice about it.
Not to touch on a too fine a point for anybody. I apologize if this is offensive to anyone, but I was reading about and I really hate that I'm segueing into this based on this current subject matter, but just bear with me. It's because of the PhD thing. I was reading an article about the new pope today. I know, I'm sorry, but they mentioned where he got his that he got his degree at a theological institute in Chicago, but he has a Master's of Divinity, and I thought that's such an amazing title. You can get a Master's of Divinity.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely, absolutely.
But I feel like you would need to go for like a Doctor of Divinity, right? Like that.
You would think so.
I know
Dr.
this
Divinity?
is a D&D.
Seriously, yeah,
That's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, you can be a scholar in about anything you want, and hey, we're here at the Save Point Society. We enjoy the pursuit of all knowledge, and
Correct.
it's also 2025. You want to get a PhD in promiscuity? Like, do it. Why
Get
not?
after it, brother.
Hey.
We're here for you.
We support you.
We are.
right.
We are definitely here. That should be part of our branding. Like, we are here to support. Nah, we got to workshop it.
I was gonna say maybe not.
Yeah, maybe we got to be careful.
Maybe
about that
we'll.
one.
I think
we'll
we
tweak the wording on that.
I think we had it.
The basic to catch us up on the conversation though, the BS topic. Basically, all we've really gotten into so far was the difference between BS being not really caring whether or not you're telling the truth, and a liar being someone who knows what the truth is and deliberately goes against it. That's basically about as far as we've gotten so far. Otherwise, we had been kind of watching the game and getting off on some tangents. So I see Jay has addressed you though, Maxwell. He says, "What's it like being an extra, being an extra in Gunsmoke?"
So, I'll tell you what.
Great question.
It's a great question. If you are a guy who ever wants to solicit random compliments from people out on the street, what you do is you grow a mustache, and like usually just a mustache. You can do a big beard if you want a beard, but just a mustache. Walk around in public and you will get so many compliments from random dudes about your mustache. Never have I been told that I look like somebody from Gunsmoke, but that's perfectly acceptable. I'm fine being that. I just walk around every day. I like to say this is my daily driver because this is just how I've looked for like 8 years now. And to answer your question simply, Jay,
You support it.
it's pretty awesome. It actually is pretty good. I get lots of compliments, and look, they appreciate the compliment. It's there's a lot of extra work that goes into it, though. I got to be honest. There's a lot of trimming. There's maintenance. There's conditioning. I don't usually wear wax. Sometimes I will. When it's actually long enough, I probably could. I should have dressed up for the stream. I'm sorry, I didn't think it through. But it's an obligation. No, it's a responsibility, and I think it's one I have to bear. And
I'm terribly jealous of your mustache genetics, actually, because
They're pretty sick.
I just can't so you can't tell because that mine aren't great because I do what essentially is a mustache comb over. Due to my German genetics, I can grow right here very well. And then there's a blank spot, and then it grows on the outside. So I have to take the middle part and kind of do a little comb over to get the full mustache. So it'll never be as full and beautiful and perfect as yours. And I hate complimenting you, but today I'm going to do it. So
here's the other thing: sit
revel in
back
it.
from the camera, because then you can't like see all the wayward hairs. It looks like it's like a Instagram filter. It puts it all together. And I can't grow a beard, so like that's the thing. Like if I could grow a beard, I'd probably have a big beard. I work with what I have, and this started as a joke that never left because my wife convinced me. Like she wanted to know what I would look like if I grew a mustache, and I was like, I'm gonna look weird and creepy. Like I just always shaved, and she said, I don't know, just do it for Movember one year, and that was like 8 years ago. And then all the nurses I work with were like, you got to keep it now. You can't leave your face. And pretty sure my wife would divorce me if I just woke up and shaved it. So yeah, it's just it is what it is. So it's
Suits you very well.
It did. You just don't know until you go on the adventure. That's the thing.
What Max is trying to say is that he will carry a joke on for 8 years if it takes it to make his point.
Me.
So
absolutely.
That also means that everyone should try and grow some weird facial hair at some point in their life and see if it sticks.
Absolutely.
I think Jacob should do that.
He should. Actually, Corbin's not here
probably
today, but Corbin often does some good experimentation with his facial hair. Usually drives his girlfriend nuts. And
Corbin has the excellent mustache double combo.
It's true. It's true.
Sort of the Hangman Page for all you AEW fans out there. Which is, it's a good look though. If you can pull it off, it's a hell of a look. I like it. But my beard genetics definitely outpace my mustache, so that's never going to happen for me.
This is going to be a forced segue back to our topic. I couldn't think of the thing. So we were talking about bullshit, and I was curious. Have you boys
like we just were?
Have you ever fallen for or followed somebody who is like a bullshitter? Was there ever bullshit that you bought into hard, or even a little?
I got one.
Yeah,
go for it.
It's a safe space.
Yeah, I'm sure I get criticized for this, but Joe Rogan.
A lot of people, man. A lot of people. Yeah. And he's I think he's a good example of this. And there's a lot. He's popular. He has a lot of popular guests. And he's got that guy, what's his name, Jamie, that's on there to like fact check, but there's not a lot of rigorousness with the fact checking. And I've kind of done some deep dives into his show by way of another show I listened to, a podcast called the No Rogan Experience, like KNOW Rogan, and they do a really good job of diving behind the scenes, because the problem with folks like Joe Rogan, Alex Jones is another big one. They can say as much as they want. It can be true or untrue. They can want it to be true, but they don't do the work behind the scenes to see if it actually is, and then they platform a lot of people who then spout more. And they say things, as Friend points out, like just asking questions. And that's a way to try to dodge your intellectual honesty with these things, and it's it can lead to a lot of unfortunate consequences. I'm trying to think, like, and I'm not like there was I bought into a lot of stuff when I was younger, and things that there was times when I was like kind of like leaning into something. There was like when I was a lot younger, I was like really into UFOs and Bigfoot and those sort of things, and a lot of people that were in that vein, or the ones who you'd see on the shows and they're talking about this stuff, they are usually they're not coming at it from a scam. A lot of times they're not. I mean, unless they're trying to take you on like go see Bigfoot tours or something, they're usually, it's something they believe in, etc. But when they do the, if they're like the ghost hunters and they've got the bleep bloop devices, etc., and they're like, oh, well, it picked up this field, this is what it means. There's so many other explanations for those things that they don't entertain, and so that's where the behind the scenes intellectual honesty falls apart. No Rogan, they just edit the podcast and put silence in all of Rogan's lines and leave everyone else alone. This is the no KNOW Rogan? I don't.
Yeah, that's Garfield minus Garfield, but with Joe Rogan.
Garfield minus Garfield is an amazing comic.
Oh gosh.
So I want to be I want to be as fair to Mr. Rogue, because it matters to him what we have to say about him. But I want to be as fair to him as I possibly can. So I think once upon a time, he really was the kind of guy who really was just curious.
Just a dude asking questions was great.
He was just a stoner who like would just get high and then have interesting people on from all walks of life, and he had his brain break moment, and that's it. Like a lot of people, it was around COVID stuff. And in his defense, there were some attacks on him during that period that probably weren't fair. And don't get me wrong, I can't stand Joe Rogan. I hate his podcast with all my heart. But I also do like to be as fair as possible when criticizing, and I think that he's gotten measurably worse since like 2021-ish or so, 2020, 2021.
It's
prior to that,
pretty big decline since the early days, overall.
Right,
but
when
like,
it was...
he had what's her name? I think her name's Susan Humphreys. She's like she's a physician, quote unquote. Barely in the loosest sense of the word. I think she either dropped out of a residency or she never completed, or she was a practicing doctor who then became disenfranchised, and then now spouts like all these horrific anti-vax things. And she's somebody who uses her credentials to come across as being true, but she's a bullshitter. Like, she is creating this misinformation, and when she's on his show, he's not critically asking any of these questions, and just by value of her being on the show, she has spread that so far and fast over the world that it does this irreparable damage. And now when it's just like, I'm just asking questions, but I'm having this person on who has these very dubious credentials and dubious motives, very dubious motives, you are platforming them whether you like it or not, and you are therefore spreading it. And so it's just like terrifying. These are like, she's like a doctor. I can't remember if it's her or it was one of his other guests recently, but like, I believe she doesn't really even buy into germ theory, which is insane. It's just insane. And so I mean, this is the type of stuff that's like, it's just maddening.
And I guess, to be fair, even like thinking about going back to like Rogan in the early days, and when he literally was just asking questions, that in and of itself is an issue, because asking questions is fine, but when you ask a question and you don't ask a follow-up, or you don't prod, or you don't ask for clarification, or you don't ask for something to back it up, at that point in time, literally you're just platforming. And I think that is where, because you don't want to, we're supposed to be, a society that promotes free speech and dissemination of ideas and blah, blah, blah. But the problem is, if you have a large platform and you're using it irresponsibly, the irresponsible platforming of ideas is the problem. If you're going to have someone on who has heinous ideas and provide no pushback, it looks like you are endorsing the idea. That's the problem. Is that
you technically are by that. If you're not
right.
correctly evaluating it, you are. Draneth, I don't know if she's a flat earther. Based on what she had said, I would not be surprised at this point. But yeah, a good question.
Yeah, the issue there is that even if you aren't expressly endorsing it, it appears that you are, and at some point, whether you are or just you appear like you are, the difference there is meaningless. If you appear like you are, that's what your audience is going to take away from it. So that's why it's important for people with that kind of reach to, whether they have an agenda of some kind or not with their BSing, you're going to get into that category of person if you don't ask, if you're not pushing back at all, just because either you like somebody or you're naturally inclined to agree.
Right. And I think, you know, there's a good question would be, and I said it earlier, but you know, are we bullshitting right now? I mean, we're three yahoos on the internet, but the difference is that not only do we care about what we're saying either being true, we also care about our process of how we come to know it. And so trying to look at the topics we bring up, and we actually do fact checking while we're talking when we don't know something, or we will be honest and say, I'm not really sure about this. Either look it up, or this is something we shouldn't really approach at the moment. And so that's how we try on this, what we're doing, to be intellectually honest and make sure that we're always attending to the importance of how we come to know things. You know, and that's where I want to draw a big distinction here.
Yeah, a common tactic of a BSer would be something like, if you ask them a question or if you give them some guff for not pushing back on that, where they'll come back with some perspective like, oh, so I have to know all the facts on this thing to talk about. It's like, no, that's you trying to say that in order for you to responsibly talk about something, you need to know every single fact about it ever. No, you're going that's the ad absurdum argument, where you're taking it so far in the other direction that you're saying that, no, there's a reasonable expectation of you doing some kind of due diligence, or at least being honest about not having the authority to speak on a topic.
Yeah. And, you know, like just a few minutes ago when I was trying to name as many sexually transmitted infections off the top of my head, as one does, I ran short at 7. Just, I don't know, wasn't something I had preloaded. Okay, and I had to be honest and say, like, I'm out of, I could have started making up stuff. I should have just started making up interesting sounding names and been like, these are, but
yeah, but you run the risk of saying something like culturally insensitive or getting us in. Let's not get us in trouble while trying to do a joke.
No, but
please.
I tell patients all the time when they'll ask me a question to something that, like, maybe I once knew the answer to cold, but I'll be like, you know what? Great question. I want to get you an answer, but I want to get you the right answer. And so, you know, especially, I try to do that in my day-to-day life as an agent of science, if that's a thing. But, you know, I also don't have a giant platform yet to worry about.
We're working on it.
Those sort of things. But
ever expanding, my friend.
You know, it's I wish that a lot of the folks with the biggest platforms were mindful of those sort of things. All right, have a good night, Sean.
Oh, well, Sean's out, so Sean's had enough. He doesn't like.
You go to the bathroom.
It turns out that Sean is a much bigger fan of Joe Rogan than we once thought, and he does not appreciate our criticism. And Sean has joined Corbin in the animated shadow realm. Goodbye, Sean, forever. Someone play that. Cue up the Fast and the Furious song. Hurry.
We need to make the montage. So what's
I don't have an example
Brandon,
of like. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, is there like your least favorite category of bullshit out there, or something
boy.
you have like a personal I don't know, affinity for studying, going after, talking about, or just being annoyed by? I think I would guess in your case.
Tell me what your guess is.
My guess is something in the wellness space, because you're a fitness guy.
Yeah.
You know,
I was trying to decide between that and like the just general like political takes with absolutely no backing. But yeah, I think the wellness space is way more frustrating for me, mainly because of all the empirical data that you can show, both in terms of whether a substance has any kind of demonstrated clinical value, and also in terms of the money being generated by the quote unquote wellness industry.
Oh, sure.
And my personal, I guess I was having a hard time thinking of like a BS thing that I have fallen for, because so I grew up conservative. I remember my dad listening to Rush Limbaugh, but like that stuff never. But he was also a Clinton voter. My dad was a weird guy. So I never, like, with the political stuff, I was never like super strong about it when I was younger. And I'm still not like extremist of any kind. I know where I fall, you know, politically now. It's not where I was when I was younger.
Sure.
But I never really feel like I fell for anything too extreme in that regard.
Sure.
But definitely when I first started getting into weightlifting and
Hmm.
when we were training to go do the wrestling thing, I fell hard for supplementation
Oh, I bet.
propaganda. For
I
lack of a
remember
better
going
word.
to your place, your
Oh,
apartment
yeah.
at one time, and I was being obnoxious, but I was like, Brandon, what are all these tubs of supplements right now that you have?
D-aspartic acid, glutamine, BCAAs,
Yeah.
Creatine, pre-workout.
taurine to deal with back pump. Like it was just all the most insane nonsense, and it's just none of it's regulated. Like this is not FDA approved. Like they could be selling you sawdust in powder. So I fell hard for that because of it was one, my lack of knowledge. Two, and the place that was feeding me the majority of this information were the now notorious bodybuilding.com misc forums, the miscellaneous
Oh,
forums on
God.
bodybuilding.com.
I thought you were gonna say it was the other wrestlers.
No, the other no. That was more of the like supplements that work but aren't legal. That was more the
Yes.
wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I mean, to be
Which
fair, those
technically
supplements do work.
There's a
but they are
downside,
also
but they work.
Yeah.
slight downside. Oh, come on, what downside other than shutting down your natural hormone production? Anyways, not to get too much on tangent on that stuff, but yeah, it was seeing people who looked the way I wanted to look, and they're sponsored, and it's
On those
wanting
forums,
yeah, well, not. But like in the magazines and that kind of stuff.
Oh,
But
I see.
the forums were a whole other thing. Yeah, that was a mini 4chan situation. The bodybuilding.com misc forums were a pretty dark place back in the day, but I was also younger and into super edgy humor, so it worked for me. But
Right.
right. But anyways, so a lot of that stuff, you're looking for, and I think this kind of happens with people who fall for maybe some of the pseudoscientific or pseudo-philosophical stuff as well, is that you're being presented with a simple answer to, instead of, when it came to the bodybuilding stuff, instead of like, oh, clean your diet up, be consistent with your exercise, progressive resistance overload, those kind of things, instead
Sure.
of focusing on the, proven or at least, way more efficacious methods
Demonstrably
that have
studied, those sort of
Right.
things.
Instead of focusing on that, like, oh, you just need this extra scoop of powder, and that's the difference between
Right.
you and a six-pack and being 6 inches taller.
It's interesting because when I was doing powerlifting the first time around, I actually, because I started looking into that, and it was funny because at one point I was like, I remember giving Brandon grief over all this stuff, and I was like, I feel like I want to know what supplements are potentially beneficial and like cut through the BS. And it took a while. Like I had to find a bunch of articles and try to figure out which ones were more reputable, which ones got referenced more often. There was definitely some nice like summary articles that you could find that did do some of this work for you. And I think what I came out with was like protein and creatine are the two that seem to have the most consistent
That is
benefit
correct.
demonstrated. I know there's one study that just came out about creatine that it may not.
Yeah.
There's plenty that show positive. I haven't read that study, and the downside to creatine is non-existent as far as I can see. Plus, there's maybe some other benefits. So, like, I was like, okay, these two things I will do. But there was like other like slightly fringe things, like the branched chain the branched chain amino acids, like doing fish oil supplements for like joint stuff.
Joint health.
So it's interesting, but I did my diligence to try to figure out what kind of worked, but that's also because I'm a cheap bastard. I didn't want to spend the extra money on stuff that I didn't think was going to have any
Yeah.
benefit.
They also play on, and this is, again, this will play into other forms of BSing, but they also play on your insecurities. Insecurities as a man, in a lot of cases, revolve around your testosterone production.
Your bench press.
That too, but so a lot of these supplements, they boast they increase your natural testosterone production, and what they don't tell you is, and this is, again, when you're younger and you're just looking for, it's a confirmation bias thing. You want there to be an answer to make things easier, is what you're looking for.
Of course.
But what they don't tell you is that like your natural testosterone concentration in your blood level or blood serum levels of testosterone will vary wildly. There's a huge range of natural that's also considered normal.
Right.
And for you to, these supplements maybe they don't, but maybe might push you a little higher in the normal range. But as long as you're in that normal range, you're fine. And there's going to be no measurable effect on your body composition, your strength, what have you. You need supernatural levels. The only way you're going to get supernatural levels is by obtaining supernatural supplements. So again, it's that kind of thing where they're preying on insecurities. They're pushing an easy answer. That kind of BS has an audience because people want there to be a simple answer to problems a lot of the time.
No. And I have definitely gone through plenty of times before where I was looking for those answers as younger. I didn't think as much, and I get it. Like I think that's the other part about this. Like, succumbing to BS, we have all on this stream done it. We're all at risk of doing it at any time, and it takes, especially in this modern environment, it takes so much effort to not do it. And so it's like I try to stave this off as like a value thing. Like I definitely, a long time ago, saw it differently, but I'm willing to grant some leniency in a lot of these cases, because it just is also rooted in like human psychology and why we're susceptible to these things, I feel like we've seen Sean play this part many times.
Sean, are you doing okay, buddy?
I'm doing all right.
Are you winning?
I'm getting there.
I'm worried about this cat. Does he need some glutamine? Sean's focus. My bad.
Let him do his thing. Nice parry.
He's got deflect. Having played Sekiro through, and I'm a huge, obviously I say it every stream, huge Souls fan. Sekiro is a different beast. Sekiro hurt me deeply and emotionally, and I will never be the same person that I was before playing Sekiro.
Okay.
This is giving me similar vibes already. It just looks brutal.
It is.
But once again, absolutely beautiful game. Kudos to the devs for standing up to political pressure and producing this game anyway. So good for them. I mean, I'm serious.
Can you guys? Yeah. Oh yeah, the Taiwanese
right.
Studio, absolutely. Can you guys hear the cats like rumbling in the other room?
I can't. Can you turn your mic up, please? I would
hear
appreciate
like
a cat
thumping
rumble.
and rolling, and they're just like wrestling outside the door.
Kitties.
The dog's getting all upset. It's just a whole. It's a whole mess.
Wait, who's getting upset? It's not Bear.
No, it's my dog Lemmy. She gets
Okay,
upset when the cats are wrestling.
Stop! Guys, stop fighting!
She does.
I would be surprised if Bear got upset, or if Bear noticed that anything was happening.
My dog Bear is not capable of being upset anymore.
But he's a wonderful, beautiful boy, and we love him with all of our heart. He's in our starting soon video. If you want to see him, he's the cutest dog in the world. We'll be live again Tuesday at 8:30. So be here at 8:28 or so. And you'll get to see Bear.
Follow us. Follow us.
We'll send
like,
you Bear
comment,
pics.
subscribe.
Follow us for Bear.
Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, this.
Every new follower we get adds a year to Bear's life. You want to be the person who keeps Bear alive, don't you?
Oh, he's a good boy. He's
that might have been some BS. I can't prove that, Chad.
That is definitely.
But you do want Bear to live longer, don't you?
No, you're manipulating.
Correct.
Well, nice. Like one of the other kind of run-in topics to this, and we've talked about forms of it, but was like, all right, what happens when you apply bullshit to science? You get pseudoscience, and it's like claims being made, scientific claims without rigorous evidence, but they're dressed up to look like there is rigorous evidence. So if we did that stream that had the raw milk discussion a couple streams ago.
And quick thing, that is, and I think it's a unanimous opinion amongst the group that I think that was our best stream. And that one is available on YouTube. It's got the thumbnail is our buddy Corbin, who is our fourth, who is not here tonight. R.I.P. Corbin. May flights of angels sing you to thy rest.
He's alive and well.
But he's on the thumbnail, us downhill skiing, and there's an ape and a bottle of ostensibly raw milk. So it's been our best stream so far, in my opinion. It's highly entertaining. Go give that a listen.
But we talked about it, and we found that it was like the rawmilkinstitute.org website. I don't know if that's the right website, and it's a garbage site.
I think that was it.
I don't care if it was accurate. but it was dressed up. It had lots of citations. It had lots of sources. It had all these things. It looked very impressive. And when I started looking at the sources, like at some point during the stream, it was like, wait, no, this is complete BS. And then we found an FDA site that actually almost line by line was clearly designed to basically refute this raw milk org site and use the same sources, and it pointed out like why they were why the raw milk site was misusing these sources. But that is like perfect example of what pseudoscience looks like.
Yeah, you'll see in that regard, it kind of goes back to our mentioning of the kind of information overload that you get with a lot of these folks, where, again, they're throwing out so many arguments that the idea is that you can't necessarily keep up with all of them. But the FDA called their bluff and said, okay, fine, we're going through this point. I think they had 35 sources, the Raw Milk website did, and the FDA came back with like 50 or 60 sources. Like, they came back with way more sources. And like you said, including the ones that they used and misquoted, or at least misled what the studies had said or concluded. That's another one that you see quite a bit, is where BSers will pull either a table or a single stat out of a study, and they won't quote the conclusion by the authors or scientists who perform the study, because they don't care. They're looking for exactly, Dran. You got to do your own research. You can't go trusting those ding-dang experts like that. You can't be doing that. But the entire point is to. I sure did.
I'm gonna edit that out. That is way too old timey. I have a handlebar mustache.
You can't say that with that mustache on your face. But regardless, the point. Actually, no, you totally derailed my train of thought. Now where I was going with that.
Well,
but,
have you ever like? I always love the phrase, do your own research, which, you can look up articles, yeah, but like your actual own bench research, have you ever done true research? It is boring.
Yeah. Buy in $1 million lab and research it, Granite said. So that's correct.
I'm glad there are people who are good at it, but
yeah,
I did a project relatively recently, and it was a research project, and I did my own research on a topic, and it took forever. It took almost an entire year. And then I had a bunch of numbers, and I had to have somebody help explain my numbers to me, because I'm just not a numbers guy. I need my own Brandon. And, I did all this stuff, and I was exhausted at the end of that research. And that wasn't like giant randomized placebo-controlled trial research. But just doing real research, at least at the bench level, is difficult. And then if you're writing a research paper, it takes a lot of work. And watching YouTube videos is not research. I watch YouTube videos. I'm not hating on it. I watch a lot of them. I've done literally the electrical work behind my desk. I did myself. It hasn't caught fire yet, thanks to YouTube videos. Oh, and so, researching how to do a thing, cool, no problem. But like, actual good source of research on a topic, that's not what it needs.
Quick and related to that, of course, a quick item that you'll see a lot of, again, these just common tactics that you see BSers using is they will tell you who may be funded or who paid for a study, and immediately use that to refute the results of the study. There are examples of things like soda companies paying for studies, and those studies demonstrate the ill effects of sugar. Like there are examples of, I think, dairy companies paying for studies that demonstrate that there are heart issues. I mean, just because a group or a business or whatever pays for a study does not necessarily mean that study should be thrown out because there's a conflict of interest. If that company itself is the one conducting the study, sure, but it's still important to, and again, this is where it comes down to like the literacy of it. It's still important to be able to understand what you're reading, if the methodology is decent. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to do that. That's obviously, above the head of you as a person. That's above the head of me in a lot of cases. There's a lot of things that I'm not qualified to speak on. Most things I'm not qualified to speak on. But the point is, this is just a common tactic that they use, where it's like, it could be part of a meta-analysis, but they'll throw the whole thing out because maybe one study was paid for by a company that is within the industry that was being studied.
And meta-analysis, where you're taking a bunch of studies at once, bringing them together, and kind of using the results. That's always like gives you interesting stuff. What just happened?
What happened?
I
don't know.
at the same point. No.
Oh no.
He got
Oh,
me.
no.
Because he's got my soul. Look at him.
Oh, if only you had found a save point, you'd be free from this hate
I
society,
know.
Sean. I know, it's awful. I'm so sorry.
Nice.
You'll get him
nice.
next time, buddy.
Look at him right now.
Nice.
Always be branding. Always be branding.
Yeah, that totally like derailed my line of thought. Oh no, so yeah, like the funded studies, good intellectually honest studies will state the funding so you can scrutinize them more closely.
Right.
And even when it comes to like medical studies, like I don't kick up and like read New England Journal just like you read a regular novel. I'll read a study and be like, that's neat. I'm definitely not a biostatistician. Let me go see what a lot of those folks in a consensus think about this. And,
Right.
Find
and
one of those.
I'll read dissenting opinions about it, and then after all of that, I'm like, okay, here's what I think about this thing. So my own expertise goes so far.
Yeah.
That's,
I know I've seen a common thing of, the people will go against consensus. I know it's because there's money to be made by, agreeing with consensus. Wouldn't there be more money to be made if you were the one who discovered the irrefutable truth of the counter narrative consensus, where you're the it's such a brain dead approach to just saying that, like, oh, if the consensus isn't right because that's everything, they're going to back that up because that's the machine or whatever behind it.
Right.
It's such a brain dead approach to understanding a topic or analyzing research or
Right.
anything
Well,
like
and one of
that.
my questions was going to be why do you think bad science, pseudoscience, is often more convincing than real science?
Go ahead, John.
No, I'm talking to myself playing the game.
Oh,
Okay,
gotcha.
yeah, Sean's using his stereo channels elsewhere right now.
I think one thing that I mentioned earlier was that BS science often offers a simple answer to a complex problem. It's a lot sexier to be able to say that the problem is you're not taking enough brain force plus than it is to say that, well, as you age, you need to keep your mind engaged, and it's important to stay physically active, and all these answers they're not sexy, they're not satisfying, but they're true. So I think BS science doesn't have the burden of dealing with the truth. So it can tell you what you want to hear. It can offer a simple or it can offer a very satisfying answer to a problem that good science or good research can't.
Yeah, you get, and it's the confidence, right? You get to be confident in the answer. Whereas, like, a lot of the answers, like my dad asked me recently, and my dad's a retired physician. Like, he asked me, what do I think about alcohol? Is it safe or not? And I was like, because he'll read like a news story about like a study, and there's a lot of studies that come out, and he'll just be like, all right, what Max, what do you think? What's the answer here? And he, with his background, still wants me to give him a simple yes or no answer, and it just isn't one. It's complicated. And a lot of
Are you
things
sure
are that
he
way.
wasn't? Are you sure he wasn't being the old Jedi testing you?
I'm
To
very
see,
sure. Yeah,
he
I'm
wasn't.
very
He
sure.
wasn't putting the helmet on your head and putting the target in front of
Yep.
you and seeing if you could hit it.
Even he said, he's like, all these studies disagree with each other. I'm like, you're a doctor, you know how this works. Like, sometimes studies don't have clean answers. And
Right.
so the answer is, often you take as much data as you can and try to figure out where most of it's pointing. And it's like I told him, I said, well, from
Also, was
things
the
I've
question-
read. What's that?
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, his
go ahead.
question was how bad is alcohol for you?
Okay,
That-
I was gonna
that
say, was
kind
his
of
question, is it good for you, or how bad? Because that's a different question.
Right. So,
Yeah.
in the 90s, the study came out that suggested that red wine was good for your heart. And
Yeah, red wine and dark chocolate, right?
right, well, we're going to
Yeah.
focus on the alcohol. I don't remember the chocolate part.
Sure,
But,
sure,
so
yeah.
a lot of people
文之上，
develop drinking problems because they're like, oh, well, alcohol's good for me. They didn't really drink before. I'm going to drink red wine. And a lot of people did end up, like, unfortunately, going on to drink way too much because they're like,
Oh, boy.
this is good. It's really good. Now, that study, I didn't bring it out. I can't pick it apart. Here, like, I'm gonna be honest
Right.
about it. I don't remember all the ins and outs of why it was re-examined, but a lot of the data was re-examined, and it really wasn't a true benefit that could be found. Hold on a second. Hey, can you knock
Get
it
him.
off?
Get him.
Just cat
Yeah.
scaling the chair and clawing.
They're just feeling the nine souls.
Bring him in. Yes, they want to watch the cat. They see the cat
Now,
fighting
dogs
the
getting
ape-man on the
involved.
stream.
It's a mess. So
they
like,
want
there-
to
there-
participate.
when they went back and looked at a lot of the data, there really wasn't a benefit to drinking even in moderation. And so, like, a lot of the studies that you see mentioned in the last year are like, hey, alcohol is associated with cancer. And these studies were coming out like that's a brand new finding. It's not. We've known that for a very long time.
Right.
And so we also know that like drinking can affect brain and memory and those sort of things. But what my dad wanted was like this really simple, is it okay? Not necessarily healthy, but like how bad is it? And I was like, I don't know, there's not like a great answer.
Right. Is it going to melt his brain if he has?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, there was one study that I'd have to find. It had something like they tried to calculate how many years moderate drinking and above takes off your life, and you know, I think I want to say it said like every drink is like X amount of minutes. You know, okay, I don't know if
That's yeah.
I
That
can
sounds
tell all
pretty
these
pop
things
science
to him,
either.
and he's not
Yeah.
satisfied by these answers, and he's a doctor. You know, he's
Right.
that's so I have sympathy for the fact that if somebody comes along with a very simple answer and says, "Here's how it really is,"
Right.
the rest of the scientific community doesn't agree with me because I have it right. That's always somebody to be suspicious of. But I get why that has like glitter and sexiness to it, and it,
100
it
well,
seems
because
right.
people work 8 hours a day, and they have kids to pick up, and they have, after school activities, and they have like people are busy. They don't have time to sit down and read 45 studies on a topic to get an educated opinion on it. And if there's somebody who comes along who offers that really satisfying answer, that can just because really what they want is like, dude, just tell me what to do. Like, is what they're
I get
they're
that.
asking.
I
Like,
get that. I want to be
put
told
that
what to do. It's
Cliff
sometimes
notes in my
great.
head at this moment.
Right.
Yep.
Think about how many times here's maybe one of the questions that you hear, and I know this is a little hacky, but let's see. Durandith has a theory that life is the primary factor in cancer. You're probably right, Durandith.
It's very true. It's very true.
It's but like it's a hacky thing because like people bring it up all the time. But like, are eggs good for you?
Sure.
I-
Kind of.
That depends in
complicated.
context. There's a lot of that's a tough question. Like if you're a person who has cholesterol problems, maybe be careful. If you're a bodybuilder and you need 12 eggs with breakfast to keep your muscle on, then okay, but it's probably not great for your arteries. Like there's a lot, but that's not what people want to hear. They want to hear,
Right.
is it good or bad? Is it? And so that's where BS
you're
can
being
creep
annoying.
in because, like we mentioned, BS does not have to concern itself with the truth. BS. Oh,
This is baby kitty.
speaking-
She's causing
speaking
all the
of
problems in the
breakfast.
background. Hello.
Oh yeah.
look at that delicious looking cat.
Do you have opinions? No. Okay. You want to wander around? You're gonna wander around. So
Can you put a GoPro on baby kitty and she can be the fourth camera and it'll just be
Probably.
wandering
That
around?
would be pretty amazing.
That's a selling point.
Is a selling point.
That's an
Yeah,
idea
this-
right there. You can have that one for free.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I think that I think those takes seem to be what I found too, as far as like why pseudoscience is so readily bought into. And then like kind of one you hinted at it, but like another thing I found like was
God.
it sort of has
That
the
fire.
vibes, right? You're part of this community that believes contrary to what all the so-called experts believe. And you have a community now. You have a community of people who think the same way, and there's comfort in that, even if you're all thinking bullshit.
It's a
Yes.
ways away. Fuck. Sorry.
There is the
Shanta
community
is
thing
declining.
that does bring up. I do feel like a lot of times the pseudoscience-y or is that a cattail, Max?
Yeah, there's a cattail.
Sorry, I just
Don't worry about
I was like, what do you have, Max? Drop it.
it.
But they do kind of prey on people who are a little more vulnerable in that case as well, I think.
Sure. Oh,
Is
yeah,
that
there's a lot
people-
of money in doing so.
And that feeling of community, it can be for people who feel isolated you don't have to. Obviously, like we said, Joe Rogan fell for some of this stuff, and he is not an isolated person by any means, but he's more the exception to the rule there. In that, I think that folks who are lacking for community or lacking for identity, they can get pulled into these things because it gives that to them. It gives them both an answer to a problem in their life and also gives them a community of like-minded people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
100%. There's and I would suspect like my own kind being like fellow physicians that have
Okay.
strayed far from the the scientific integrity that we're talking about.
Right.
They found a community. Like some of them are just pure grifters. Like let's just be honest. But they also found a community in and among each other that they support each other's BS, and I suspect a lot of them didn't have much community within the integrity of science because they weren't good at it, didn't understand it, or it just didn't agree with something they wanted to do.
Was Dr. Oz a medical doctor?
He is.
Old Mehmet.
He's a cardiothoracic surgeon, and he's a great example of somebody who strayed into BS.
Yeah.
He can do real cardiac surgery. Like, I don't know if he can today, but he was a open up and do valve repair and do bypasses on your heart, open heart surgery surgeon, right?
Yeah.
But give him the show. He leans into all these supplements. A lot of them start becoming more and more dubious, and then that becomes his entire identity. He becomes a bullshit. He's pushing bullshit.
Yep. I remember was it the green coffee bean that he was pushing as like the magic fat burning pill? This one trick that doctors
sounds
hate.
about right.
Oh my!
If you're a doctor, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but again, that gives him credibility, though, right?
Right.
That gives him credibility. It does, no, because then he can say that he's the doctor who's telling you the real truth, who's not hiding it from you. Because,
Right. Yep.
Because Big Pharma Big Pharma, Sean, they want to keep you fat. That's what their primary endeavor is, Sean.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And and they're hiding it behind green coffee beans because they know you think those suck.
And matcha
it's just
tea, which is delicious, but no.
Yeah, but I also feel like if you have to be kind of deliberately obtuse when you fall into these things, you have to kind of turn your. I guess a good analogy would be, and I'm not throwing barbs here because we obviously all enjoy this, but pro wrestling. You have to
Don't
suspend
you come
your
for
disbelief.
pro wrestling?
Yeah, you have to suspend your disbelief to really enjoy or to really get into it. And I feel like with some of these things, some of these BS things, like, come on, green coffee is really like that's the thing. That's the thing that people are
Sure.
this little coffee bean. Like, you do have to kind of be willing to turn your I don't want to say turn your brain off, but like push that disbelief or push reality away, because reality is coming at you and saying like, come on, man, like you know the answer to this. When people. It's one of those things that drives me crazy when people talk about like eating healthy, and I understand that it can be complicated, but like nobody thinks that like carrot cake is healthy. Like it's not like a good thing for you to eat on a regular basis. Like there are certain
carrot. Yeah,
there are
practically a
lines
salad.
there. The carnivore diet I think is a great example. Like, come on, you are pushing reality away when you think that you consuming thousands of calories of saturated fat on a daily basis that's the secret to prolonged health.
Sure.
Like, you are pushing it away. So I do feel sympathy. I do feel like there's a victimization going on there, but I also don't want to take away agency there and say that a little bit of of introspection there, or at least maybe actually doing a little bit of your own research to look up counterclaims would be, would prevent some of this. But
the fact that a lot of people who were on the Atkins diet, which is essentially the carnivore diet in many respects, had
the
early
keto
cardiac
diet,
deaths. Yep.
Yeah. And hey, again,
State.
did the keto diet and it was highly successful for me but also it was like meals were like bacon rolls filled with cheese. It's like, yeah, it's hard to eat enough calories of that because your body is like, oh, I'm made of oil. Like, it's hard to eat enough calories of that for you to. So I was losing weight, but
Sure.
was I doing well?
You're triggering a starvation response is what you're doing, because you're eliminating a giant subset of your energy intake, like carbohydrates, fats, and it's getting late. Brandon, help.
Protein?
There we go.
Are you looking at macros? Sorry.
Like that's
Yeah,
the
let's
one.
I got
Yeah, but you're eliminating carbohydrates, and
that's like
so
a main
doing,
source.
right? Well, you're
source.
eliminating, vitamins, minerals, and also the only source of fiber. So, yeah.
The marbling and the steak is all the fiber you need, my friend.
That's all you need, brother. That's So I mean, it's like there is a degree of like the BSing thing where I do feel bad. I do feel like there's a victimization going on there, but also, don't take away the agency of people who are like, you can get out of this. You can. You just have to have a little bit of willingness to
Right.
question. Yeah.
Here's the other question I thought of. How much of the blame goes on the so-called charlatan? How much of the blame goes on the system that enables?
Oh boy.
Right? Like, how much blame is on Rogan? How much blame is on the fact that Spotify will pay him $100 million, do whatever he wants?
Right.
It's hard, right? Like, it's
that's
obviously a combo.
Yeah. Because I wasn't gonna go with Rogan right away. I was thinking more. Rogan's a tough one for me.
By the way, that thing's eye is really sus.
Oh, I missed it.
Oh,
I'll
this
look
guy
when he goes
showed.
back. What? No, he's fine. He's a
I don't
cutie.
know about that eye.
Yeah, look
I
at him.
like him. He's a cutie. What do
may
you
be a
suppose?
scholar.
What do you suppose his windshield does? What do you suppose that's doing?
It's
The
keeps the
sneeze
rain
guard
off
for
the
his
top of his
porn
head.
sneezes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a buffet, like the little thing they put over.
Yeah. porn
Drana
sneezes. I don't know
says
what
this
those are.
also isn't a new concept at all. Snake oil salesman of the 1800s, for instance. Absolutely. A great
Does anyone
example.
want this ball of flavor?
Here's a great
It's a ball of
example
poison.
of early
Ball of flavor.
early bullshittery that was not obviously trying to be deceptive but was crazy dangerous. So there was a whole era in medicine called the patent medicine era, where you could just be like, I made a medicine. You could just patent it. You didn't have to demonstrate it was safe or that it worked or had any explanation. You just put on Bob's snake oil and you could go around and sell it, and there was no legal ramifications whether it worked, whether it didn't, whether it was literally poison. Unless you were putting poison into a bottle and giving it to people, you could do whatever you wanted. So there was, I don't know the exact years, but I think it was the 1930s. Soon after they discovered radium, this guy made a patent medicine called Radithor, which was basically taking radium, putting it into a solution, and then selling you the bottles so that you could drink bits of it, and like it would do everything. It would heal. Anytime somebody tells you one medicine does everything, it does nothing. That's usually
Panacea
what's
isn't
happening.
real?
Yep, correct. So Radithor, people were taking it for like bruises, bumps. I don't have energy. I want a better libido. Like, they were doing this in the 30s, and they're basically drinking radium. So like one of the most famous cases of this was a guy named Eben Byers, and he was like a socialite, went to Harvard. I think his father gave him a business. I mean, he is like essentially a billionaire of the time. And so he started taking Radithor for like everything, and over the course of like 3 years he just started falling apart. Like, his teeth were falling out, and literally unless you want a horror show, don't Google Eben Byers pictures, because his face basically, radiation damage caused his bones to necrose and his face more or less sloughed off. He died of cancer, which is not surprising, but it wasn't until after that, and he was a high-profile guy, that there was really a push to like say what we put in the bottle should be probably safe and not just radiation. But the people who were doing these things were able to perpetuate the BS, the pseudoscience of this compound does all these things with no ill ramifications until some of those high-profile things happen. And it's bonkers. We're seeing it in different ways now. It's maybe not radium in a bottle yet, but these supplements. I mean, I've seen patients in my practice where they had a curable cancer years ago, but they didn't take chemotherapy because, quote unquote, it is poison. I mean, yep, in a certain sense it is, but they didn't take chemotherapy and then showed up, a year or two later with cancer that was now not curable. It was everywhere because they were doing like juice cleanses or those sort of things. And we talked about it before. They wanted the easy answer. I get it. Chemotherapy is not an easy answer.
Sure not.
But it's unfortunate because that BS costs them their lives. So it's not benign. It's just not.
Yeah, the supplement industry being unregulated is, I don't understand how it's still a thing. I get that Americans have a healthy distrust of government and a healthy distrust of regulation of any kind. I understand that's like kind of baked into our culture. But it's also just, there's so much money being just siphoned away from people who are just, they're trying to improve themselves.
Yeah.
And they're just getting, they're just getting taken for a ride. And maybe that'll be a topic to look up sometime. Will be how is it that the supplement industry has still avoided any kind of, and I guess I might be speaking out of turn here because I'm not necessarily sure that there's no regulation, but avoided the kind of regulation that we see on other things you consume, like food or water. So that's an interesting one for me. So
Some of it,
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say some of it actually comes. A lot of it skirts the line of you can't say that whatever you're doing is a medicine or intended to treat an illness. You'll see that stipulation there. A lot of that actually does come from the laws and regulations that came from things like Radithor and the ending of the patent medicine era. So a lot of the ways that the supplement industry gets around that is by not explicitly saying this is a medicine and those sort of things. So it's sort of a legal thing. It's a loophole. It's, right now there's almost no drive in present government to try to close those things. Probably the opposite.
Of course not. Yeah.
Gonna have.
Would you be? Here's a tough question, I guess, to turn around on you. Would you be in favor of, as far as regulating supplements? Would you be in favor of something like the supplement has to like prominently display, or that there is evidence behind its claims? Would you be?
Good question. I mean, I'm gonna say yes. I think if you want a hot take on that, yes. I don't think there's really a downside to asking for a company that sells you something to say, here's what it does based on at least some available research. It'd be hard to know, all right, how much do you have to do? Do you have to do this size study? That I don't know. But having at least a body of research or evidence or, whatnot would be, I think, increase the likelihood that you'd have better quality supplements on the shelf, and or they might actually do more.
Right. I think right now the idea is more, and it kind of plays into the idea of what you've heard of negative freedom versus positive freedom.
Maybe I haven't.
Like positive freedom being like regulations that promote you to have the ability to do a thing, whereas negative freedom is just removing any restrictions from you doing a thing. And I feel like in the context of supplements, it's less about regulations that are requiring them to demonstrate their efficaciousness, and more about just saying that, well, it won't actively harm you. is more the way those things are regulated. Is that, well, as long as you can prove that this won't actually hurt somebody in taking it, it doesn't matter if it actually works or not. That's on them to do their own research.
Right. No, a lot of pharmaceuticals are kind of like, that's like the basics of approving them, is that they don't demonstrate a harm, and they're at least as good as something else that exists on the market. Yeah. So there's at least that. Well, right now there's at least that, I think, for this week. Yeah. We'll check back next week and see. But
it's like that with pharmaceuticals, or are you talking about nutraceuticals?
Pharmaceuticals.
Really?
That's actually, those are some of the earliest phases. Like you have to prove that it's not harmful, and that it is at least that it's as efficacious as something else that kind of is on the market. Those aren't the only two criteria. Don't get it twisted. It's just those are some of the earliest criteria to get through all the phases of testing.
And to my knowledge, that's about it for supplements. It's just that it won't kill you. So.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, boss time.
Oh,
that's
what
a big
is this
man.
Thing?
That would be General Yin Zhao.
Are you still at first level, by the way?
I don't know. It's
Why you gotta call him out like that, Max? He's trying to fight the general.
All right, we'll let Sean focus here. We're gonna let him do his thing. Come on, buddy.
You got a little robot centaur man here.
Dude, looks mad.
Don't do good.
Don't say it.
I'm sorry. He's got you, man. He's got to chill out. Nice. Nice.
Took your focus factor, did you?
Chat, be quiet. He's focusing.
Okay. Holy shit. So when I was playing this on my own time, I didn't even get this far. I didn't beat it.
Hell yeah, brother.
So it was the first try on live.
Let's go.
The society has granted you its blessing. Peace be upon you, Jonathan.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Wait, what? What just happened? No.
It's round 2, baby. Well,
What?
the society giveth and the society taketh away, Sean. We should. I think it's in our little tagline there, but just to clarify, we are better at being pretentious assholes who think we're smarter than we are in video games. We don't. We make no pretension about it.
No. That was heartbreaking.
Johnny kicked his ass in phase 1, buddy.
Yeah, I was like, that was awesome. And then I was like, oh no, phase 2.
Is that on the first boss? How brutal!
Yeah.
Is that the first boss?
Yeah, this is the first boss.
First story boss, yeah.
Gosh, that's insane.
We're there too to if anybody who played Sekiro, I can't remember what was his name? The guy who would ride in on the was it just a horse? But he rode in yelling his Gyobu. I can't remember his name now, but he rode in like yelling his name. Was that a 2-phaser? I don't remember if you have to like knock him off the horse and then and fight him again or not. But
I don't think he was. I remember you had to fight that bull with the flaming horns like right before that. So
Sure.
yeah, single phase, says Dranith. So this is even more brutal than Sekiro is. So good luck, Sean.
Now, Sean, are you
fantastic?
Are you gonna give that another shot, or are you demoralized? You can be honest with us.
No, I'll play.
Okay,
I'll play one more.
All right, gotcha.
That's just
So I was gonna say I have a little bit more to this that I think we can kind of start wrapping up towards.
Sure.
But it's sort of interesting because pseudoscience is like something a lot of people have heard of, whatnot. But there's also pseudophilosophy.
Oh, what?
What just happened? Oh, he pushed you back into the. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Did he push you back into the fire? Okay. Stand in the fire, Sean. Nice.
Oh my gosh. It's so intense. This is like hard for me to even. All right. At least you don't have to go far to try that again.
Yeah.
Okay, so then there's the idea. You've heard of pseudoscience. We've talked about it all night. But pseudophilosophy.
I got nothing on that one. Nope.
Yeah. So I think you do, but maybe it's just never been called that.
I might not know the name. Yeah, sure.
Right. So if pseudoscience is like using BS principles to try and put on a air of scientific knowledge and integrity, then pseudophilosophy is basically applying BS
Grabbing a slice of pizza.
Philosophy. Oh yeah.
Is it Hawaiian pizza?
Come on. Ugh.
No.
Gross.
Hell no.
Attaboy, Sean.
Chat,
You should get some black
Chat,
licorice
come on
on
now.
that.
Hawaiian pizza's not that bad.
Hawaiian pizza's gross.
No, it's in the right setting. When you're watching a wrestling pay-per-view with your boys, and one of your friends is a Canadian with questionable tastes, it's just the right thing to have. Just is.
We love Canadians. We just question his taste. That's all. It's really, and now I love Canadians. I'm jealous of all of you.
No, 5. Don't, please.
So yeah, if you apply the idea of like BS to philosophy, you get like I wrote this like big words told by an idiot full of sound and fury signifying nothing, because
word salad.
Well, yeah. I mean, but there's I just took a Shakespeare quote and mashed it into the headline. But yeah, so if pseudoscience is using a bunch of what appear to be sources and things to dress up your pseudoscience to make it look scientific, pseudophilosophy is kind of using a lot of dense language and or inexpertise to come off as being a philosopher.
Okay.
And I came across 2 interesting flavors of this. One being, this is all per author named Victor Moberger, who I believe is a philosopher who studies these sort of things. And again, sources will be in our YouTube links and all that stuff. But the one is like obscurantist, which is where you write overly dense language that basically says nothing, but it sounds really deep. And
okay, got it. Yeah.
There's a few names that come to mind immediately, but I have this amazing example that came in the article that I referenced at the beginning, and I'm going to read this. It's by a guy named Bruno Latour, and what was he? He was a
Bruno. Yeah, I remember him.
Do you? You
No,
familiar
I
immediately
have
with
no
his?
idea. I'm a big
you-
Latour guy.
Hey, Bruno.
Yeah.
Hey.
So
Hey,
he's
Bruno,
actually
hey!
technically.
Oh.
Bruno,
He's my Hawaiian pizza guy.
he would be a Hawaiian pizza guy. He is. So he's actually he was a postmodernist philosopher. So he was actually a
Oh,
philosopher.
Jordan
at
Peterson's
least.
not going to be happy about that.
That's the first name. I will come back. We'll come back there.
Oh, that
Don't
was who I
worry.
was going to say. So okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean you'll
simpatico.
come back?
All right, sorry, Bruno. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on Bruno.
All right. I'm gonna read this sentence and tell me if you can figure out what the hell is being said here.
No,
And
I'm
I'm gonna
ready.
try
I'm
and do
gonna-
it one take because it's actually hard to read.
Ready.
All right.
Earmuffs are on.
I feel like I gotta let Sean get through this real quick though.
Yeah, you might cause his well.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
I think I lost it, boys.
All right. Here we go. This is from. Yep. You've. Just don't step onto the red things. So he wrote, and he's in reference to Einstein. Einstein had an obsession with transporting information through transformations without deformation. His passion for the precise superimposition of readings, his panic at the idea that observers sent away might retain privileges, and send reports that could not be used to expand our knowledge, his desire to discipline delegated observers and to turn them into dependent pieces of apparatus that do nothing but watch the coincidence of hands and notches. What?
I immediately I got furious at the first line.
The first line.
The
That's one
transportation
sentence.
of information through transformation without deformation.
Yes. So
So if we just take that bit, can we? Oh, hi Southpaw. Hey, buddy.
oh, he's joining us from
Oh.
afar?
Southpaw, I'm sorry that you're gonna notice that our fourth member isn't here. Bad news about him. Cue the Fast and the Furious song, please. 5.
Yeah,
If you
we
did, yeah,
sorry. We kind of made up a whole series of lore about you while you're gone. It'll be
Yeah.
a highlight, I'm pretty sure. But we hope you are more well than our lore would suggest. We'll just put it that way. Yeah, so Judas, your brain did shut off, and I'm glad that
I can't
Southpaw
even
is
parse
pooping.
the first
One
bit of
shotted?
it. Oof.
So what that
Oof,
was
buddy.
was
Full health.
one single sentence with I think 4 or 5 semicolons
Yeah.
in it, and don't use semicolons. Like
That
just
sentence
don't.
one-shot me too, Sean. So it's all good, buddy. We're both
Yeah.
struggling right
Just-
now.
So one sentence that said absolutely mostly nothing with a lot of words.
It sure is.
I have a degree in English. We did a lot of close readings of a lot of obscure things and like really wordy. I sat here trying to figure out what this said, and I was like, I don't know if it says anything. But then I plugged it into ChatGPT just to see, like, hey, I was like, ChatGPT, can you tell me what this is saying? And it's funny because it brought up, it said the first thing is like, oh, this is the most commonly cited example of obscurantist pseudophilosophy written by this guy. And it either is deemed to mean absolute nonsense, or if we break these segments apart, it's possibly talking about how Einstein was like, really wanted everybody to think similarly in the scientific community and like all use the same measurements and whatnot. And it gave like several interpretations of each line, and none of it was cohesive. And I was like, okay, that tracks. That's
Yeah.
fine.
I think I don't remember where I picked this up from, but I think the true mark of someone who has a mastery of a subject, Einstein catching strays, he knows what he did, Draneth. The true mark of understanding a topic is if you're able to explain it simply.
Right.
That is, I'm very confident in my profession and what I do, and I feel like I can break it down without having to use like the technical language of what I'm doing and put it in a relatable form for people who might not have that kind of language at their disposal.
Right. And we should tell the viewers what you do. You are a gigolo.
Correct. Yes, and there's a lot of. I mean, it's mostly positions, but there's a lot of technical language that goes into that,
Right.
and being able to explain that in a way. Usually, I do it with I take my Legend of Zelda figures back there and I use them to demonstrate. But
Right. That's fair.
it's but breaking
You
it
do
down
that?
in a
Common
way
subject.
where you plebs can understand it is one of my favorite things to do. So But yeah, but I think that's a really good observation, that if you can explain a topic, it shows a mastery of the subject matter. And when you have to, when you're going to like this highly technical language, or in this case, just absolute garbage, word salad, you're doing it to obscure, as it were, your lack of understanding of the topic.
Correct. Because you can hide in verbose language that's hard to follow, and people will not take the time to try to really figure it out. They'll be like, well, I don't know, that sounds, there's a lot going on there. It's just above me. I'm gonna walk away from it. When you're like, said nothing. So I had once somebody asked me, hey, what do you think of this guy? It was Jordan Peterson. And I listened to something he said. If you look at quotes, like, you can find these bite-sized quotes that are like relatively innocuous. It's just like, one of them was like, don't be the best person on earth, be the better version of who you were yesterday. And it's like, okay, it's fine.
Sure, yeah.
It's fine.
There's a billion. It's not exactly profound. There's a billion different versions of that.
Right.
The Rock's it's you versus you.
Right, and I watched him speak on some topic. I don't remember what it was. And this is what he does. He's an obscurantist. He's a pseudo-philosopher. He couches everything in these complex sentences that if you actually write them out and look at them, he didn't say anything. He said a lot of things. He had the appearance of somebody who really had a deep knowledge on something, and then really either couldn't figure out what his point was or never really had one. And I don't think I don't necessarily think he says a lot of these things trying to deceive or anything. I just think like maybe he knows what he's trying to say, but he can't distill it into a simple enough statement that it makes any sense. So at the end of the day, he's given a lot of credibility.
It's like him problem.
Right, exactly. I mean, he's given a lot of credibility, partly because he's the word is loquacious. He uses a lot of words. And it gives him this appearance like, hey, he really must know what he's talking about, because I don't know what he's talking about. But no, he's just using a lot of words because he's covering up for the fact that he really doesn't have a point or a cohesive thought. Maybe there is one in development, but it just is a pattern with him. And when I said to the person who asked me, I was like, he seems like he's sort of a right-wing Deepak Chopra. Because like on the other side is Deepak Chopra, who will say, there's actually a term for it, deepities. There are these like pseudo-philosophical things that sound really deep. I didn't bring any examples, but like look up most of his stuff, and they're nonsense. There's nothing really to them, but they sound really deep, so he gets credibility. And Peterson gets credibility because he's a psychologist, and he's a university professor, and like those things are worth something, but you can't stand on them the entire time by yourself. If I'm a physician and I go off railing against germ theory, you should not trust my opinion anymore.
And to his credit, I will say, Jordan Peterson's like self-help stuff it's not like particularly novel or anything, but it's generally okay. It's generally about like getting your life in order, caring about your
make your
presentation.
bed, right? You can make your bed.
Gotta make your. It's maybe
deep.
For self-help. Yeah. It's not like but there's nothing wrong with it. It's very much like about getting your life together. And what he's doing, a lot of the people who found him helpful were like young men missing a father figure. And I can understand where that comes in, where it's like they're getting lessons that they're not really being given because they're missing a role model in their life. So that kind of stuff is pretty okay. It's when he started getting into, I think he got exposed pretty hard in his debate with, Sam, I can't think of his name right now.
Cedar?
No, it was,
Sam Harris, maybe?
Sam Harris, I think it's Sam Harris. But they were part of like the intellectual dark web together, and even that, like, Sam Harris, kind of took him to task a little bit when they were getting into deeper topics than just, making your bed and standing up straight.
Sure.
The other thing that drives me crazy about Peterson, we kind of touched on it a little bit, was that even when he is trying to make a point, you'll see it in a lot of, if you go back and watch a lot of his interviews, I remember one of the topics was about yes. But I remember
so
one of
much.
Hey,
I mean,
crying is fine. We are pro.
Cries at weird. Cry at appropriate times, not weird times. He cries at weird times.
Is crying at the end of Final Fantasy X appropriate? Spoilers.
Yes.
Thank you.
If you
don't,
you're
a heartless
Fantasy
monster.
Yes.
My brother and I cried together at the end of Final Fantasy X. That's the only time we've ever felt affection toward one another.
I cried at the movie Miracle.
Oh hell yeah!
I knew how it was gonna end, and I'm like,
oh wait, no, I was thinking Miracle on Ice. I'm sorry.
That's what I.
Oh, is that it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So the 1980 U.S. like gold medal win. If
Yeah.
if there's a dry eye in that theater, then they're absent beating hearts.
Thank you, Judas, backing me up. But it was he was being interviewed by, it might have been Vice, I don't remember now, but the topic was about like men and women in the workplace. And the thing that Peterson does all the time is he walks you right to the ledge of, he basically gives you all the justification for a particular conclusion. The conclusion being, he was like building up with like women wear makeup because to mimic sexual arousal, they put blush on their cheeks and they put red on their lips because that's, and he walks you up to the point of like, okay, so are you saying that men and women shouldn't work together?
Yes.
And then he goes, I'm not saying that at all, and he never actually gives a conclusion.
Correct. He moves to the next point.
Yep.
More word salad.
He gives you all the justification for a conclusion. He walks you up to it and basically hands you the conclusion and says, now it's your responsibility. You're the one saying it, not me. And that is the kind of like...
Question 5. Who's got the better impression, Brandon or Sean?
Oh, good question.
I just sound like Paul Bearer. Have you ever listened to Jordan Peterson? He doesn't sound like Paul Bearer, but he sounds more like, he's got a weird like kind of high-pitched Kermit thing going on.
He does.
Yeah.
It's yeah. And I shouldn't be making fun of his voice. He can't control that. But I'm sorry. Like, the way that he treats his approach to philosophy and argumentation, he's forfeiting his right to be engaged with in good faith.
I gotta find this. This is totally non sequitur. Somebody, man, I should find this before I even mention it. But somebody commented. I used to have a podcast, and every once in a while we still get like, we used to get comments on like our Spotify posts and stuff. And somebody said I sounded like the celebrity who I hadn't heard of. And who the hell was it? Let me see. It was. Oh, I gotta find it.
He'll do his impression after the boss fight pod.
Oh, yeah. Will Forte. Does anybody know who that is off the top of their head? Will Forte.
Oh yeah, I know Will Forte.
Yeah, so I listened to
wrong.
I had to look them up. I didn't know who that was offhand, and they were like,
Oh, what the hell was that?
My voice sounds like Will Forte, and I was like, that doesn't.
Whenever someone says Will Forte, I think of the Lego Batman, but that's not the right Will. Which Will is Lego Batman? That's Will something else.
You riding that horse?
Judas, I'm counting on you here, buddy.
I thought it was behind him.
Oh. Will Arnett, thank you, Draneth. Yeah, that's always whenever.
Okay.
For some reason, when people say Will Forte, that's immediately who I go to. Who is? Time to fact check Will Forte. Who is this man?
Yeah, Sean, can you give us a quick Jordan Peterson?
You know, giving a good Jordan Peterson will require a lot of peculiar vocal disruptions in this gameplay that I'm trying to do right now. Are you not seeing that I'm a boss? And he is whooping my ass.
Sean has a lot more righteous indignation in his voice than I do.
He does.
That's
you can feel, you can feel
yeah.
it.
Sorry.
You
He could feel. No, it's good.
Oh, Will
that's
Forte
part of
was
his...
MacGruber. Okay. Here we go.
Oh, okay.
Hell yeah.
I don't know that I know what he sounds like.
No, you'll have to listen to it on your own. It's complete digression.
Well, I always listen to. I take the recording of our streams and I remove everyone's voice but yours, and then that's what I listen to fall asleep. So I'll do that tonight. I'll play those at the same time.
Well, wife says Brandon's is better. Okay. Sean's is for fun though. Sorry, Brandon.
Yeah, Sean's got the emotion with his. Sean's got A+ for
right.
Yeah. But mine is just more.
Now, speaking. Sorry. Let's be fair a little bit too. So I mentioned there was like one kind of pseudo-philosophy, this like obscurantist one, being obscure. There's also scientistic, and scientists can be guilty of this. And this is when scientists pretend to be philosophers and talk like philosophers, but don't necessarily carry probably the true credibility. And one of the examples that was given was Stephen Hawking, who, by all accounts, absolutely brilliant scientist. But he wrote apparently kind of what got taken up as sort of a big article saying basically that philosophy is dead because it doesn't keep up with modern science, and that philosophers have fallen behind. So like all these new scientific advancements, they don't have a language to help explain it. So we should just move beyond philosophy. And a lot of people are like, "Well, you're Stephen Hawking, so that sounds right." And a lot of philosophers were like, "Wait, he's not a philosopher. What are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense." And thereby, that is an example of a scientist basically using pseudo-philosophy to sound like a philosopher when they don't actually have the credibility due. And his point being like philosophy is dead is ridiculous. It felt to be ridiculous, not by just me, but by philosophers and a lot of scientists of the time.
It's also a bizarre conflation of two subject matters that are, I won't say completely unrelated, but like science is kind of should be a study of material reality and the fact
natural
that
phenomena,
right? Whereas philosophy basically comes down to your moral values, or trying to tell you like how to, trying to determine what is right, what is wrong.
More abstract concepts of like
Little
how
abstract,
you see
yeah.
the world, how you experience the world.
Right.
I mean,
so like a good example would be, like first example I can think of off the top of my head, and I don't mean to get into a really hot topic, and I'm not gonna belabor any of this, but so like when it comes to the subject of abortion and when a fetus becomes alive, science can tell you like when the stages of moving from zygote to fetus.
Has a neural
tell you all
tube,
that.
has a brain, has a heart, or like
Right, but it
cells
can't
that
tell
resemble
you-
a heart.
Right, but it can't necessarily tell you when it's a human life. That's a philosophical question. So, what because you can, like I said, I won't get into arguments of that. That's way too big of a topic at the end.
Oh
of
yeah,
the
no,
stream to get
I
into.
take the point
But-
though. There's
Right, that there's a moral component to that, and a like factual biological component to that, and those. I'm not saying that the two can't meet. There's obviously a degree of crossover there, but to say that like science has advanced so far that philosophy doesn't exist anymore is what a bizarre thing.
that's surprising from him, right? Like
It is, yeah.
It's, he's but it just goes to show that like other people, even prominent and brilliant scientists, they're at risk of falling into these traps.
Right.
One of the things that's I'm sitting here thinking out loud, like a theme that's come up is that there's a lot of, as people get bigger platforms, like Jordan Peterson, Rogan, Stephen Hawking, blending your credibility into areas where it might not be due seems to be a problem. Like, let's say you had more money than most people on Earth, and so then you decided that you can probably buy and run a country, and maybe
more money than all
turns out
people on
that
Earth?
you're seriously. Well, I mean, you're the most money on Earth. You
The
try to,
most money, yeah.
influence the entire
Maybe.
steering of a country, and it turns out you're really bad at it, and that you don't have the true expertise because you are a bullshitter in charge of way too many things. It's an interesting thing. So maybe the answer is that nobody can be famous.
I think that's what we're saying.
I think that's probably where
Is
we
that
have to.
except for us, of course.
Well,
Yes.
we are
Because
we're on the cusp.
Because we do rudimentary fact checking live on air, unlike the people with the resources to do more. So we're better, is what we're saying. We're better.
Well, I mean, look, we're joking, but the fairness is we are trying to adhere to that integrity. And
Right.
here's the other thing: if you've been out there and like I don't know who's left over from the raid, like really appreciate you sticking around. If so, if you just tapped us up, taking a nap, that's cool too. But if we said something and you're like, man, I don't really agree, or you see something that's something that we didn't say, we didn't take into account, and you send us a message, whether you whisper it through Twitch or you send us an email with it, you point out the place that we're wrong, I will own that all day long. Hey, you're right, I didn't consider that. We will be honest about those things, because a lot of that, if you're a bullshitter, you don't have to be. That's the problem. And I'd rather get something wrong, own up to it, and say, you know what? You made a great point. I was wrong on that. I will do that all day long. And not try to be wrong all day long. I try to do all my work so that I'm not. But I'm open, and I think everybody on the show is, maybe except for Corbin. He seems like he might react badly to
Well,
being
we're-
corrected.
What we're saying is that we are willing to accept when we're wrong, and we will use our admission of when we're wrong to emotionally manipulate you into respecting us more.
Yeah. Wait.
So that is the Is that what you were? That's what you're saying, right?
I mean,
That's
we'll go for it. Okay. No,
we,
I don't know that
we
I love it.
cut to sponsor. Do we have a sponsor? Do we have
No, we don't.
Sean?
We have no
Do we have
sponsors.
a?
Are you
Oh,
kidding me? Sean, who'd
Sean, what are you eating?
Blue
Right?
Chew.
Um,
No, I'm having pizza because
Oh.
you guys didn't see that last fucking.
We're
Adam.
sponsored by pizza, by the way. Eat pizza.
the entity of
Save
pizza.
Point Society. Sponsored
This
by
is
the
all I
idea
want
of
after
pizza.
that defeat. This is all I want is that last slice of pizza. 'cause
all
at
that he
least I know
has
it's
left in
good
his.
pizza.
Sean is
Was that
self-soothing,
fully-
and I understand that. I think that I think that's reasonable. So I think, Sean, in fairness, unless you really want to give that fight one more go, we could leave it there. We could call it on that. What are you feeling? Speak with your heart.
Game over, man. Game
He's
over.
out of
Okay.
here, brother.
Yeah, I
Man, you
appreciate
gave
the
it-
effort, though.
Yeah, you gave it a hell of an effort. I thought, man, getting that first phase down and then it pulling the phase 2 on you was just cruel, brother. I understand.
Yeah. And then the second phase on that last fight, like I was so close and I got a heal off and he hit me like as soon as like I got the heal off and that was it. I just
I'll tell you what. I think we absolutely should pay this forward. This lovely raid from Retro J
Absolutely
earlier
should.
tonight. We got some folks. I don't have anybody I know online right now, so I think we should let's take a little look around.
Let's go.
see if it
let's go
was
find,
play Nine Souls.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Let's go find another ninesolser. Maybe they're able to get past.
I don't know if they're still here. Jay, Retro J and Ragged X. We appreciate you guys. I guess Ragged was probably in
Yes,
Jay's
thank
chat,
you.
huh? Yeah.
May have been.
I wasn't sure if she rated in at the same time, but either way, thank you guys very much. We really appreciate, the help and the raid in, and getting eyes on the product. We appreciate it, and
Yes.
Max already said it. If you can follow us on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube. We also have Blue Sky. Any comments,
We should
likes.
stop shouting out the blue sky for it. I haven't done anything with it.
But it's there,
It's
and
there.
the more, and you can send messages to Max and tell him to wake up and get on it. Just like I need to wake up and get on the thumbnails on YouTube. Apologies about that, fellas. That'll be.
I'll just keep
a
doing
week.
my stuff. I don't know.
It's been a week,
I'll be
brother. It's
here.
been a week. We really appreciate you guys sticking around. Thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate. I will rate.
Yeah.
There's one person I know, not personally. I watch his stream a fair amount. So let me say, and it's gonna be a name. May
Is it
may
Will
people-
Forte?
It's not.
Oh.
Let me make sure I spell the name correctly. I have done that. I've rated a channel once that was misspelled. And
Nice.
It was pretty amazing.
Thank you, Will Forte, for sponsoring the stream, by the way, along with
Felt
pizza.
really, yeah, Will Forte definitely sponsored the stream.
He's gonna be
Yeah.
our goat guest. If we
Yeah,
get
look
Will
at- look
Forte
for-
on the stream, we've made it.
Look for Will Forte on Blue Sky. He'll be tweeting
Yeah.
about or skeeting about us. Excuse me.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I'm gonna raid. Kind of if you watch retro games, and I play a lot of retro games, so that's probably why I'm familiar with the stream. I'm gonna raid Zofar, who has been around for a minute. I don't know the entire backstory, but I've always been entertained when I stop in and watch his streams. He's almost always playing something unique and that I remember from way long ago. So I'm gonna send us over there. Encourage anybody, if you enjoyed this, please let us know. Come on back, and we'll look to get into trouble with a new topic next time.
Yep. Shout out Will Forte.
Will,
Boy.
Will Forte is our boy, I guess.
Right.
All right, let's see if I can get this going.
We're ready.
All right, I'll pop over there to say hello as well, and wish everybody a good night.
Good night, y'all. Thank you very much.
No.